The question that God asked Moses is, what do you have in your hand? But what I want to talk to you about is, what do you have in your hand? Now, if we read in Exodus 4, it says, then Moses answered, but behold, they will not believe me or listen to my voice, for they will say, the Lord did not appear to you. And the Lord said to him, what is in your hand? And he said, a staff. And he said, throw it to the ground. So he threw it on the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moses ran from it. So I only want to read that portion because the part that really spoke to my heart was the question that God asked Moses is, what do you have in your hand? Wat het jy in jou hand? Dan vra hulle my weer, en ek het eendag worship gelei in 'n kerk, en ek het gedink dit het baie goed gegaan, en die pastoor het gesê, he said, I want to talk to you about the worship that you led this weekend. Can we meet each other somewhere? And I said, it's fine. We met each other in a coffee shop, and I went there all smiles and ready to hear that it was wonderful. And we hope that you do this more often. And he started off the conversation with, I know you tried your best yesterday, but it was, and he phrased it like this, horrible. So I've got this question where it says, what do you have in your hand? And I just sat and I thought of a couple of people who had stuff in their hands in Bible times. And what did they do with what they had in their hands? I have a guitar in my hand, and I love to play, and I often hit the note wrong, I press something wrong. It still happens after almost 30 years, but for me it's all about the passion and what I communicate. It's the same thing as when your child sings to you, and he misses a note or something, you don't mind, because you know he sings because he loves you. And I think God feels the same way about us. And that's why the Bible teaches us, make a joyful noise and not make a tuneful noise. So I'm so glad about the joyful instead of the tuneful. So that makes me feel welcome. So the first guy in the Bible that we're going to look at is Moses. And God says to Moses, what do you have in your hand? And he had the staff. And I want you to say, okay, I can relate to this person solely because what I have in my hand and what I'm going to do with what I have in my hand. So Moses used this stick, and God says, what do you have? And what we learn here is when Moses was in a pickle and he wanted to act on behalf of God and to help do the work of God, he said, what must I do? And God says to Moses, but what do you have? Sometimes we don't want to do things that God asks us to do. Ons sê partykeer, Here, ek sal vir jou enigiets gaan doen. Ek kan nie vir julle sê hoeveel keer loop ons in ouens vas wat sê, ag Here, as jy my net 10 miljoen rand gee, dan sal ek 'n crusade reël vir jou. En ons weet as jy die 10 miljoen rand kry, gaan hy dit nie doen nie. Want die Here wil jy moet gebruik wat hy reeds vir jou gegee het in jou hand. Wat het jy om te gebruik? Moses hoef niks gehad het nie, hy het net die staf gehad, en wat die verskil gemaak het is dat hy was gehoorsaam. When Moses chose to obey, God started to work. That's what happens. Just this morning in our congregation, I had a sermon about Philip, where he had to go down and meet the Ethiopian. And solely because of his obedience, God started to move and change the Ethiopian's life. So what jy in jou hand het, is either obedience or disobedience. It's not about the staff. It's not the Harry Potter staff that Moses had. It's not about the staff. It's about the obedience that he has. So what we need to do is we need to trust God with what we have in our hands right now. My children always say, it's something that they caught throughout the years. Ek sê altyd vir hulle, doen wat jy kan, waar jy is met wat jy het. Do what you can where you are with what you have. And if you say, I have nothing, that's a lie. You always have something. Some people always talk about faith as nothing, but you can just at least have faith. So the question is, what are you holding on so dearly that you should just surrender to God and say, God, use this in my life? Maybe you can sing. Maybe you can speak well. Maybe you are strong. But whatever talents or abilities God gave you, use that for His glory. The second guy doesn't need any introduction, and that is David.
Amen. You can comment about the donkey, say hello.
Hello, amen. Okay. Is what we learn from David is the same thing. Toe David aangekom het en Goliat hulle gedreig het, toe het Saul vir David gesê, trek aan my wapenrusting, vat my swaard en dan gaan jy na hierdie reus toe and go and fight this giant, but put on my armor. And David tried it, but Saul's armor didn't fit David. He couldn't move in it because David was still small, a teenager. And Saul was a big man, head and shoulders above all the other guys. And there's so much to learn just from this. Other people would say, I would go out and face the giants if I can just take somebody else's armor. As ek net het wat Royes het, of wat oom Hans het, as ek net het wat hulle het, dan sal ek ook vir die Here iets kan doen. You don't need somebody else's weapons or armors. You have a specific set of things that God gave you, and He wants you to defeat some giants in your life. Nie op enigiemand anders nie. As David Saul se klere aangetrek het, the king's armor looked different than that of the armies. If David went out with Saul's armor, the people from a distance would have recognized the armor and they would have said, oh look, there's Saul. Saul is going out to fight Goliath. Hulle het gedink dit is die koning. Maar toe pas dit nie vir David nie. And you don't need someone else's makeup or weapons to fight the battles that God is sending you to fight.